Okay, thank you. Welcome to the Abington Affordable Housing Trusting Fund Committee meeting, Monday, December 12th. We're kind of in a hurry. We're a little bit behind schedule. Let's stand and pledge allegiance to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are in the Carter room because the Buckley room had some communication issues with the audio, so we're in here, and Selectmen will be following us. We're not trying to take over this spot, you know. Correspondence, I really don't have anything. However, I passed out to you folks today. I asked what our balance of our account was. And they said it's $153,139.48, and you can see the email. It's an additional $100,000 that for some reason hasn't made its way into that account yet, but it will. So basically $250,000 we have on hand.
Why?
We're not sure. It says, if you read, no entry has been made yet. They're waiting for the board to vote on the transfer of funds.
Okay.
And I just reached out to Scott and I, just talking about it. We're trying to figure out which board they're talking about, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll clarify it with Andrew tomorrow, so next time you meet, we can,
Yep.
whoever has to make the vote can make the vote.
Outstanding minutes are still outstanding. I haven't got them to you folks yet. I did start working on them, though. I had reached out to Scott to see if he was able to give us an update or pop his head into the meeting, and we actually popped our whole board into his meeting. So I guess, first of all, if you want to give us an update about some of the stuff that we had talked about at previous meetings, and then if the board has any questions.
So, as you know, the last time the selectmen met, they discussed that they want to put the projects out to bid. My goal is to work with Judy Barrett. I think you've met with her. She's also hopefully going to be working with you guys on your action items and putting your plan together. To put together an RFP, we'll also work with town council to put the legal documents together. But at this point, I have to figure out, A, what that's going to cost, and B, how we're going to fund it. At some point, it would be great for this board to make some sort of a stance on it, whether they're going to support it or not support it, or, you know, I think ultimately, once Judy's working on the RFP, that we're going to run it by this board, run it by the Board of Selectmen before it actually hits the street to make sure that it meets goals and objectives that we're looking for.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with that. I think, you know, if you folks are going to go forward and vote to work with Judy, I can reach out to her and see when you're going to meet next, see if she's going to be available, and then I can get some idea from her at the same time of what her availability is to work with me.
Okay.
And then, as far as Glenowitz Way goes, I have kind of gone back and forth with Noreen.
Yep.
I don't know, we've just sort of played phone tag that let's get together on this.
Yep.
The next step, and I'm really not sure where you folks left it off, if there was some sort of appetite to do something over there. They had a proposal that seemed to pique your interest. The next step would be to bring it to the selectmen. So I'm really, again, I'm not sure where you
Yep.
left off with her. She jumped in the meeting as I was jumping out to come back to this meeting, so.
Yeah, she had a lot of ideas and talked about some of the projects she's done in other towns, and we had told her that it had been approved previously for three 6-unit?
Yeah,
Six unit? Yes, yes, and, you know.
She seemed open to any ideas that we had to make, so,
Yeah.
which was a positive, and definitely wanted to work with us.
So would you like us to continue working with her, or do you want to?
I think a little bit of both, and I think I can sort of gauge the interest from the selectmen tonight.
Okay.
I'll sneak it into my town manager report to at least kind of get an
Okay,
idea
yeah.
from them, what if any interest. I don't know that they would have any problem
Right.
with it. It seems, you know, at least to move forward with coming up with some conceptuals on use of it, because right now, obviously, it's not doing anything.
Right. I think one of our things we batted about was that maybe one of the buildings could be specifically for Abington seniors, seeing as it's directly across the street from the senior housing, you know, so.
Yeah, and I think once we have someone like Judy on board, that's a question.
Yes.
Those are projects are easier when to do things like that when everybody is in agreement on what we want to do, but Mass Housing doesn't particularly approve of those projects
Right.
when they're senior only.
Right.
So, but I think it would be great. I mean, that's obviously a need that you folks have
I think
identified.
Habitat brought up the point that a third of it could be dedicated, earmarked for seniors or something to that
I
effect.
don't know if they were so much that, because they like to see like families.
Right,
So
yeah.
they were more, focused on like family units,
But,
so.
I mean, it's definitely worth continuing the conversation. I know there are some folks who'd like to see other things go there, whether it be recreation or whatever, but I think it's time to, we definitely want to move forward with that.
and the good thing, it sounded like Judy from Barrett Consulting and Noreen knew each other and have worked together on projects,
Yep.
as you have, so I think that's a good mix of, so we'll wait to hear from you to see, because if so, we can bring her into another meeting. All right, does anybody have any questions for Tom Angelo and Basie about the vote of the selectmen for the center and the north schools? I watched it on TV, so I did see
Yeah, I watched
the
it.
discussion too, so it kind of basically kind of, nothing's etched in stone. It sounds like there's several review processes before, I think you're just going to try to, and I did like the idea that, personally, I like the idea, and we haven't voted on any of this stuff yet, that, keep the footprint of the center school and not expand, and that would be part of the document.
That was, I mean, if nothing else came out of our community engagement, that was almost unanimous. I think that, for the most part, is preserve as much of that area as possible and not change that footprint. I think there'd probably have to be some minor changes to accommodate accessibility,
Yep.
but, I think that, I actually liked personally the idea of trying to preserve some of the area up at the North School too for some sort of a park or whatever, because there is quite a bit of land there, but if that's the trade-off to make the project work, I understand that. So I think the nice part about how we could craft the RFP though is what we find if they're combined projects, what we as the developers of this RFP find more attractive, what makes it more important. So somebody who says to, if there was multiple parties that were interested, the one that, comes in and hits all of our little check boxes, that's the one we want, so that, if somebody comes in and says, well, now we need another 60,000 square feet at center, well, boom, you're out.
Yep.
But if two of them said, yeah, we won't touch the footprint at center, but all things being equal, one wanted to leave us part of the land at north, we would probably pick that developer.
What else to throw out there, and it wasn't really discussed, I don't think, at the selectmen's meeting, but, the perfect example is that Bridgewater project in the Bridgewater Center, where they took the school, they kept the open space, and they added the historical aspect, for all three phases of the CPA funding, which would help the project. And that's something that maybe you could do, have the best of both worlds, have housing up there, affordable housing up there, and have a park still,
Yeah.
all in one.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the best of all worlds. And, where they're likely to only be one-bedroom units, again, the town's going to have to buy into it 100%, the developer's going to have to buy into it 100%, but that also lends itself to being fairly exclusively senior, interest. It's not something that's going to interest a family because it just doesn't work. They need multiple bedrooms, and Mass Housing's not likely to support a project like that either.
Okay.
I was intrigued by the idea of possibly making the footprint bigger at North and leaving Center and selling it as a package deal.
Yeah, and again, I mean, if that's, it's ultimately what a developer's going to want to do. We can put it out there and see what they come back with, and hopefully, at the end of the day, that's what we find, is that someone's interested in exactly what we put out there, exactly the way we want it.
Yeah, and you did stress that it's a tough sell because the developer's not going to make any money.
No.
And they're going to need some incentives.
No, there's likely to be some sort of a subsidy that would have to be put in, and we'd probably go to CPA for that subsidy and say, do we want to create some sort of affordable housing here and, or do we want to just tear the buildings down?
I also like the idea of bringing Barrett Consulting into the mix because they know how to get money from the state, the federal government, all these different grants. And,
Yeah. And they'll know what's going to be allowed to. I mean, there's certain programs that we can look at and bake into this RFP process, but if we just put in exactly what we want, it may be something that a developer's not even going to get money for. The bank's not going to be interested in this, housing not going to be interested.
She'll know what to put in there to make it more,
Yeah.
viable.
Now, we talked previously also about North and Center being basically the same school, but actually getting some public input on North after we did the survey on Center. Are we not going to try to do any community engagement with North?
Direction I've been
Because
getting from the selectmen is to get this project rolling. And, one thing that we were pretty clear about since day one, though, was that they were identical schools, and the idea was to try and make something happen on Center, and then we were going to do the same thing on North, so it's not a surprise. But, that was loud and clear from the selectmen meeting, was to move forward.
And once the RFP is designed, I'm sure that there's going to be lots of public hearings and meetings and talking about it.
Well, then they'll have an opportunity to
Oh, absolutely.
give their input.
Does anybody have any other questions for Scott on anything, I guess? I have one question, but as far as the Center and North Schools, we're good on that?
Yeah.
Okay. We have funds, and we just discussed it, we have probably 150,000, or 250,000 really. So we can, what does it take for us to approve hiring Barrett Consulting? Do we need you folks to do it? Can we make the decision?
A vote of your board, that's the way your trust was set up,
Right.
is that you can, your board can expend these funds. I don't believe that we made any requirements for you to go back to the Board of Selectmen in that document.
I don't believe so either. So kind of that tails into the agenda. Excuse me. I know that a couple of you were going to attend but didn't attend the CPA meeting. So we had two articles.
You were there, right?
I was there, yes, I presented to them. So I'll go over that quickly. I went over the Affordable Housing Trust Action Plan, the fee, the $15,000 that we talked about. And they brought up a good point. They said, well, you have your own money, you can do it now. I was like, oh yeah, we can. But they liked the idea that now they know what we're doing, and this $15,000 would be to reimburse the fund, which I think is a great idea, because that way we can't just go, well, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to do that. Now we actually have.
We can do it now.
Right.
So instead of waiting.
Right, and they'll, that's going to be one of the CPA articles to reimburse us for that $15,000, so it's kind of a wash. But they also, they'll know what we're doing and how we're using that funds, rather than just say, we want $250,000, and, well, for what? Well, we have a bunch of things we want to do. At least now we're showing them. So that's one of the two. I still have to do the Phase 2, but they're not meeting until January, Phase 2 application. But Phase 1 was for eligibility, which that was eligible. And the other one that we talked about was basically to put more money into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which they've been doing every year. So we requested $250,000 just to keep building that up. And I did bring up that, you never know when you're going to need it. And a perfect example was a Habitat for Humanity. You might have a house that we're going to need. We need to spend funds right away. We can't go to a town meeting. So that's just an example. And I think a lot of that stuff might happen, too. You never know. Someone, so I just, hopefully I can have members of the board there when we do meet with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to come and, back us up on those. But I don't think there's going to be a problem. I doubt very much if we'll get to $250,000, but maybe we'll get at least another 100 or so, just to.
You doubt that because of the number?
Well, no, just because they're not prone to. I can tell them, well, you can give up to 80% of your CPA funds every year to us, but they want to give the 10%, But I really think that when we hire Barrett, the education process is going to help in that regard. They can see what the money's going to go to and why we definitely need it. So, does anybody had?
Did you mention the two Habitat projects when you went to the CBA meeting? I was unable to.
I
attend,
did. I did.
unfortunately.
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
I did. Because they were all, where is it, where's the house? And I go, I'm not sure exactly, oh, I know where it is, okay, good. You know how nosy everybody gets, so. So, does the board want to vote on actually start to hire Barrett? We talked about it, we talked about asking for $15,000. We can expend our funds now to start that process going. So, if there's any questions about it, but I think we talked about it, and we kind of basically approved it, but we didn't actually vote to do it. So, I will entertain a motion to hire Barrett. I actually think I wrote
So
it
if
down.
we do this, then she can start in on
Yes.
things such as any type of funding that might be out there, or that will be part of.
Yeah, she can start, well,
Well, I think what her scope was to work with you first on your action plan,
plan,
kind of getting you guys up to date on what you want to do. And then if you find something that you need or a project that you're ready, if you identify something that requires more research, she'll be there and available probably, but if it's beyond the scope of what our initial discussion was, then she had put a menu together of kind of what her price would be,
Yeah,
so.
okay. So this is just the.
I think the vote would be to approve up to $15,000 from our trust to have Barrett Consulting assist us in developing our strategic action plan and start as soon as possible. I think that's a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
All right, so we have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, wow. That's awesome. I feel like we...
Made it stop.
Well, no, but having the town manager and Judy come to our meetings is really,
Yeah.
it's very helpful.
Yeah.
It's very helpful. I actually don't have much more on discussion on community preservation requests and CPA meeting recap, so I just gave you that. We just spent some money for the first time, so that was good. We had a couple of freebies. Anybody?
It's that time of year.
Yep. Upcoming meeting schedule, is that, do we want to
Yes.
talk about anything else? And if there's anything else somebody wants on the agenda, please let me know. I promise to have minutes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I've heard of different developments going into town, and, we were talking about, and I can't remember right now what kind of, my brain's still a little foggy.
No, I understand.
But whether they can put in affordable housing or pay the town, and it would even maybe go to our
Even in lieu of.
community. In lieu of. It's inclusionary,
Yeah.
or,
Inclusionary zoning.
That's a really good question for Judy and for Amy Questle. We ran into some problems with that, and the Attorney General not liking it
okay.
in the last town I was in, and I think a lot of it had to do with the way the bylaw was written, but eventually they told us to stop doing it. Because it was kind of, and we, at that, over there, was really no offer. I know sometimes, you have to offer a project, you can do this by right, and if you want to do a little bit more, you can get special permit, or you can do this and that, and so to say, or you just give us money to put is kind of like an extortion type thing, I
No,
think.
but is it with the affordable part of it? Is that?
Yeah, I don't think you can do it, we couldn't do it and require it. But I will get you a much better answer from Amy Questle on that from KP Law. If there is something that we can do, obviously it'd be great to find out, but
If we could just keep adding to the affordable housing.
yeah.
I also think that
Numbers.
we had asked that to Judy, and she said, you're better off, let me get going, we'll meet with the groups, and when we meet with the groups that handle that, which is, I think is the planning, then we can bring that up, and have her bring it up too with it.
Yeah.
I think that's inclusionary zoning, though.
Yeah, it ends up as part of the bylaw, and
Yeah.
depending on how you write it, I mean, you have to give some good incentives for people to want to do it.
Yeah.
You can't say you have to have affordable housing in a subdivision or whatever, by right subdivision. You
I
just
thought it
can't
was,
do it.
we could say we require 10 or 15% of your units to be affordable.
Not in a by right, you can't,
No.
because if you, no, and then tell them that they can buy it out, it just, you can't do it. But I'm sure there is a way that something can be done.
Yeah, 'cause
It's
I
just,
thought the town had to do it, because I know they were talking about something.
Yeah, we can't, the
Braintree.
town has to do it.
Like Braintree
Yeah.
was, Braintree
A
did
lot of city-
that.
a lot of
well,
cities
it
do
was an actual bylaw for the first, I don't know how many years that I was in Duxbury, and a developer came in and he put in project off of Route 53 called Duxbury Estates, which was like 44 units, and he paid $1 million plus into the inclusionary housing fund. And they spent all of that money. But it was deemed unlawful to continue doing that. So we had to stop doing it, and we had to...
But you got the money.
We spent it. I think they used it to, well, I know some of it was used for the Habitat project that I told you
Yeah,
about, where we
yeah.
gave them a $500,000 subsidy.
Yeah.
There was and another project that I think they recently, on Temple Street there, that they took by eminent domain because a developer was going to put in affordable housing. So, go figure.
See, I thought the way it read is that if you can't provide whatever the town says, 10%, 12%, then you have to pay for those X number of units that you would.
If you're doing a development that would otherwise require that, you can buy your way out by doing something else, paying into the fund.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing a development that would otherwise require, you can't make it, by law, you can, in here, our bylaw says if you have X amount of land, X amount of frontage, and you can subdivide it and you can build a house on it.
Right.
Some areas, maybe it's
Yeah.
20,000 square feet or 30,000 square feet.
Right, the way I
or
read it
whatever.
was like if, the bylaw would say, if you're putting in a unit, a development with more than 10 units, then you have 1%,
Yeah, it just seems like I've been seeing articles in the paper about different towns that are doing this, or...
and probably getting sued, that's probably why you're seeing the
Yeah.
articles.
It was just one example that, like I said, it was in Braintree, and they, instead of doing the affordable units, they gave the town some money, then the town turned around and did something with that money.
Yep.
Oh, I remember reading that.
Yeah, it was a building that they developed for, I don't know, for affordable housing or senior housing. And then I started reading a little bit more on the information I think you handed us on
Yep.
it. And it seemed like it was something that the town would need to start doing.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
it's like something you have to have on the books in order for
Yeah.
the developer.
Yeah, they gave you some
to do
sample
something.
bylaws too that you could use.
Yeah, I think, we can definitely have Amy
Yeah.
Questle advise
And
the
who is-
planning
who is-
board
and
on
who is
if
Amy?
there's something.
Amy is-
She's she's with KP Law.
Okay.
She's our land use attorney.
All right,
She knows her
excellent.
stuff.
Very much so, yeah, very much so.
All right,
If there's something out there that resembles that we can do, she'll know it and
Well, I
advise
just figured
us.
it would maybe keep the numbers up for us, whereas
oh,
a
that's the...
moving target,
Well, that's what,
know.
that's the whole purpose of, it,
Yeah.
yes.
How do we go, so from here, so we've approved this, so this gets,
I'll email Judy and just have her, tell her to go to town.
okay.
Yeah, I think what she'll probably want to do is schedule whenever your next meeting is or whenever
Yeah.
her availability is.
Yeah.
You may, well, the other room has a Zoom board, so you may find it easier
that,
to
yeah.
schedule her with the Zoom meeting or a hybrid type meeting where you're live, she's not, or, her schedule can be tough, so whatever works.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to also ask her about the historical aspect, because the Historical Commission met for the first time in quite a long time, and we're not sure exactly how to go. And if she would know whether it's a good thing to try to get the schools on the historical register or a bad thing, would it help?
I know,
Make
that's
it more-
kind of an interesting question, because I
Yes.
wonder,
Yeah, would it help or hurt? Right, that's
Yeah.
the big thing.
I'm not sure.
More money could come in, because there are some things if you keep some of the historical features, but then...
it may keep the developers away, because
Exactly.
they can't do some of the
So
things they
before
want
we
to
even,
do.
before we even started anything, we
Yeah.
said, let's see if it's a good thing for the town or a bad thing for the town. Meeting schedules, somebody got a calendar, want to look at
Yes.
some stuff?
Is it, the selectmen's meeting is second and fourth Monday, typically?
Of
Yep.
the month?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this a pain for you, is this working out great for us?
No, this works out fine for me.
Yeah, this is awesome, because we can all get together and then we have you
I can go to bed
available
at 7:30.
for the most part.
I'm still at work, though, I actually have to go back to work after this, so...
Yeah.
but
That's,
That's
Going home
that's all.
tonight to your grandson.
Okay. So, somebody get out the calendar and take a look and let me know when you think is
So-
good, please.
Calendars or whatever.
so we've been doing the second Monday.
So that would be the 9th?
You can't do
We
that.
we got to check with Jen, she travels the world, so...
I'm sorry, that's,
How about the 23rd, Jen?
yeah.
Okay. So are you good with January 23rd?
Okay.
February 13th?
Yeah.
March 13th?
Before you know it, it's spring.
I'd like to do 6 months if possible, that's what
Yeah.
Liz
Yeah.
said. April, okay. so
Is the
town
agenda, is the
meeting-
agenda up on?
It's not, I couldn't find it on the web.
Yeah.
I tried to find it too.
I know,
it wasn't
and
there.
we asked her to put it in.
And I sent her another email over the weekend.
You really have to, and I tell everybody this, whenever you want your agenda posted, you best to copy Nancy for the room and Tony Moken for the web.
We did give it to her, I think.
And Tony's on vacation this week, so she might have been in
In vacation
pre-vacation mode or whatever, but
Okay.
I'll double check with Liz too, because she usually does follow it up with Tony.
Okay, so now,
April 10th,
April
it's a
10th,
week after town meeting,
okay.
4/10. And May 8th.
And if these don't coincide with selectmen's meetings, it's not the end of the world, so.
Right, May 8th, you good for that? Mm-hmm. And then June 12th,
So that's basically the second Monday of every month?
except January.
Okay. Because of Jen, yeah. Where you going now, Jen?
Actually, to Charleston for work.
Oh, okay.
So it works out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, you get to see your
yeah.
family down there, okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody, please email me if you have anything you want to put on the agenda.
I would just like for the next meeting, so maybe we'll have Judy Barrett, right?
Yeah, either by Zoom.
Works for her.
Well, what I'll do is, we know the meeting date, so I'll email her and tell her, I'm going to ask her about the historical aspect, and I'll tell her when the meeting is, and could she please come to that meeting? Via Zoom or in person. All right? Everybody good?
Good.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Motion to adjourn?
Whoa, you guys are quick.
Wow.
The Patriots don't start till 8, come on. We have a motion in a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you guys for coming. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah,
Okay.
Merry Christmas to you.
Enjoy your
Merry
snowman.
Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you.